Hi there, I'm Jen Anderson and welcome to the Study and Learning Centre Graduate Researcher Know-How series. This workshop is the third of four on editing and proofreading your thesis or research article or dissertation called Editing for Style. Our advice about academic style will be useful for drafting your research documents and will save you a lot of work in the final editing process. In this workshop, we're going to look at two main issues: academic style and clear, concise writing. In general, academic style is more formal than spoken or, for example, email language, even when the work is a personal or creative engagement with knowledge in its many forms. For example, academic text does not contain contractions. We do not abbreviate or shorten words. Can't is written as cannot. Now pause the video and note the long forms of these words. They're academic versions. Here are the answers as you'd expect. Academic style is largely regulated by the academic community. Read the first text. Who is the expected audience? Pause the video and give yourself time to read. So, the first text is written in a conversational voice and directed at a specific person of interest. It sounds commercial in tone, and it's promoting a marketing strategy to a business operator called you. So this would probably be published in some kind of business magazine or journal. Now read the second text. Pause the video now and give yourself time to read. This text is about the same topic, but its register is quite different. It's addressed to a non-specified audience. There's no you. It's more objective in tone. That is, it's giving information rather than persuading you to do something. We can see that when the you is taken away, the voice changes so that the passive verb tense is used. The intended reader for this text is the academic community. Now, even though the voice is more objective, the writer is still putting forward a claim or argument that the marketing strategy is a good one. Academic writing tends to avoid colloquial expressions, which can be read at metaphorical and literary levels, thereby allowing for some ambiguity. Instead, it favours more universal formal expressions. We recommend that you start to collect formal expressions from journal articles that you read and keep a list of them to use in your writing. Pause the video now to compare colloquial with formal alternatives. When we speak informally, we tend to use adverbs for emphasis, placing them at the start or the end of a sentence. You can see these adverbs marked in red. When we write formal English, however, we place the adverbs before the verb or action word. So we have the solution can then be discarded and the blood is slowly withdrawn. We recommend that you limit the number of adverbs that you use. In particular, words like very. Now we're going to consider 5 editing actions to make your writing more concise. Reducing prepositional phrases, deleting meaningless sentence starters, using simple words for clarity, deleting unnecessary words and cliches, and removing non-specific add-on expressions. So let's look at these in more detail. A preposition is a word that shows a relationship between nouns and pronouns. When we write nominalized sentences, that is, when we put all the content into the things in the sentence, not the action words, we create strings of prepositional phrases, so they're prepositions accompanied by nouns. Look at this sentence as an example. I can count 8 prepositions, which is far too many for this relatively short sentence. So let's read it. An evaluation of the effect of Class C fly ash and of the ground granulated blast furnace slag on the properties of ternary mixtures for use in concrete pavements was undertaken and is presented in this chapter. When I read the sentence, I feel as though there are too many meaning elements and it's quite difficult to follow. What changes can we make to reduce the number of prepositional phrases? Look at this edited version. The prepositional phrases have been reduced to 4, and it's far easier to understand the relationship between the ideas. You can see that the sentence is more concise. And note that the sentence opener from the first example, the evaluation, and the sentence closer, the paper, have been brought together in this better option so that they create a clear topic and verb. This paper evaluates. When we write drafts, we often get started by including a lot of filler, similar to the way we talk. But when we edit our work, we need to cut it out. Here are some examples. There was a lack of evidence. The point I wish to make is that there were many instances of what I have argued here is there are many areas to consider. We need to remove all the filler so the reader can focus on the details. However, there are times when we may want to slow the reader down in order to prepare them for an important point, such as when we're about to emphasize the gap in the research where our work fits. Then we might write, what studies have not explored in any detail are. This is good storytelling because it signposts the most significant issues. We're going to do a word cutting exercise now. Which unnecessary words could you delete in these sentences? You may need to rephrase them. Pause the video now and start cutting, and then click restart to look at the answers. Remember, your answers may be different. Pause now. Here are some possible answers. Pause now to look at them. Our ideas are complicated enough without making the words we use more complicated than they need to be. Sometimes simple is best. Here are some common tautologies we need to cut out when we edit our writing. Very unique. Something that is unique cannot be more unique than something else because there is only one of them. Collaborate together. Collaborate means to work with someone, so you don't need together. Few in number. Few is a counting word. We know it's a number. Still remains. If something remains, it is still there. You don't need to say it. Complete stop. Can you have a partial stop? Well, in academic English, you can't. Triangular in shape. A triangle is a shape. Forward planning. Planning is necessarily a future forward-looking action, so you don't need to say forward. Continue on. Continue will do. And a priority already means the first thing one should do. Next, there are cliches which have no place in academic writing. At the end of the day, what day, and why at the end? A better option is in conclusion. Nowadays is a spoken expression, and it does not give a clear enough representation of what we mean. Do we mean in contemporary culture or under current economic circumstances? Be more specific. In this day and age is also too vague, and we need more detail, as above. In the current climate may be used, but sparingly, and referring to a specific climate, such as an economic or political climate. The cliche throughout history begs the question, whose history and what particular aspect of history? Don't use it. Modern society is a dangerous expression in academic English because the term modern does not refer to contemporary society, but to a period of modernity, which has a particular set of features not necessarily intended in the meaning of in today's world, for example. And in a word, well, then you write a sentence. No, avoid in a word, in summary, in short, in brief. These expressions are better. The next thing you need to do is to remove any non-specific words or phrases such as etc. or and so on. While you use these terms to mean you get the general idea, the academic reader interprets these phrases to mean that you haven't completed your idea. They can hear you thinking, I'm too busy or too lazy or too ignorant to tell you the rest, and I'm not interested in you, my reader. You do the work. You think it through if you really want to. Think about using such as or including instead. In example 1, you might rephrase the sentence to state that public transport for use by the public includes buses, trains, planes, and ferries. And in example 2, you might rewrite as follows. When determining dietary needs, nurses must take into consideration issues such as patient allergies and other medical conditions and medication. The Australian Government Style Manual, 6th edition, is in the library. Ask your subject librarian for other recommendations about style and find out submission requirements for higher degrees by research. If this video presentation has highlighted for you the errors in your writing, you might want to visit the Study and Learning Centre drop-in and seek some support. Remember, the more corrections you make before the proofreader's clock starts ticking, the more money you'll save, but also you'll be a better writer all round. The take-home message is this: your thesis, your argument or point of view is reflected in your writing style. A concise academic style will put the best reflection on your thesis. Happy editing.